What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
You know, Rick, one of the fun things about doing the podcast, not all of it, because it's all a blast, right, is that we get emails. We get a lot of emails from people, which is really kind of cool. And,
okay, maybe it could be scary too.
Well, that's true.
You never know. Well, I've been doing my show long enough that the critics, it's fascinating how simple it is to write.
Oh, yeah.
Write something about a show, and all I have to do is type a few keys, and it can just destroy my day.
I get them. The popular word is trolls.
Yeah.
And I get them with on-air broadcasts with radio, too. They're out there. For some people, it seems to be a necessity to just try to bring other people down. I don't know why. But we got one this week, and I've really got to read it to you. You haven't heard it yet.
I have not heard it. Promise. Yep. Anybody listening to the podcast, Tammy says, I'm going to start off this podcast and read this to you, Rick. Here we go.
Because it's really cool. These come in anonymously. So it's from somebody in Osawatomie, Kansas. And I do think I said that right. And
wow, that's amazing.
Osawatomie. I worked on that.
Okay, I'm going to have to work on it. I can't even. Osawatomie?
Osawatomie.
Watomie. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
And it says, "You guys are so amazing. I have listened to the podcast from the very beginning. One thing that I really appreciate about Rick is that he's really passionate about making sure other people follow their dreams. Most magicians or illusionists are just there to do magic, but Rick is there for the purpose to make sure we follow our dreams. It has really inspired me to follow my dreams. It has reminded me that, yes, it is discouraging at times, but I will certainly regret it if I quit. Thank you guys for all you do. I am certain it has been a help to a lot of people. By far my favorite podcast, and Rick has become my favorite illusionist."
Well, bravo to you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't know if this person has even got the chance to see my show, but I would guess that being inspired is actually more important than seeing the show. Anyway, I know that now that I'm on the air here in Branson as an on-air personality,
Concord Radio,
that I have people who have never seen my show, but they talk about me on air and said, "Oh, I listened to you on there." So it's nice. I'm like, "But I'm an illusionist." And they go, "Yeah, you're really good on the radio." No. Yes. I have a live show too.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad. I'm thrilled. And we all throw what we can out there, and we all say we see what sticks. This week, this next Saturday, I'm having another magician, Dave Hamner, on the radio with me. He is a friend, but because he's an illusionist as well, he's an arch enemy, so to speak, right? Right. But I'm bringing him on because the whole point is I am thrilled to chat with him about our story together, our lives, how they crossed paths, and what he's done with his life, because it's not about Rick Thomas. It's about, at that point, his life, his dreams. And it's really giving me a chance to actually, even more so than I did before, really step out of my own skin and start giving other people credit and kudos for who they are, rather than, oh, Rick Thomas and how great he is and what he does and that kind of thing. So it really has, just in the last month, helped me be a better person. So thank you to everybody listening and forcing me to talk about everybody else's dreams. I'm not saying that. Look, I'm just glad that that's what it appears to be, and it is. But it is. I'll tell you, the person who needs to hear what I'm saying more than anybody is me.
Oh, I understand that.
And I repeat it over and over and over again. If somebody else is listening, great, but I am really doing it for me. And I've done it to keep myself going. I've done it to not stop, to not give up. In fact, that's what this chapter is all about. Of course, it's regarding don't close the theater, and it's during the pandemic. And you and I discussed this before we even began today. Do we really need to talk about this again?
Yes, we
do.
And
the answer is
yes.
Yes, we do. We must, because it will be in our DNA forever.
Indeed. The reason I wanted to bring this particular email to your attention is sometimes when you do something like a podcast, when you're on stage doing your show, you get immediate response from the audience. You were heard, you were well received. You get that. But podcasting and broadcasting, our audience is totally invisible. We don't really know if whatever message we're sending out there is getting through. Are we sending the message right? Are people receiving it?
Yeah. Are we connecting?
Yeah, exactly. And
yes, it's a frustration, just so you people know.
It truly is.
It really is.
Oh,
and so thank you again for this anonymous person who sent out this bit of information regarding the podcast. I needed it today.
Yeah, because he's saying, hey, guys, it's working. And I cannot tell you how those of us in broadcasting appreciate that. It's just amazing. Anytime you would like to send us an email about the podcast, it's really easy to do. Right at the top of the show notes, there's a little line that says send fan mail. And that's the easiest way to do it. You just send it right through there and it comes right to us. And that's right in the show notes. And as well, if you go to Nothing Happens Until You Dream, on the far right-hand side of the page, there's a little tab. And you can record something if you want us to actually hear you tell us, not just write it, but let us hear you, which is also very cool. You can do that too. Because I want to hear from the people listening to the podcast. I want to know we're making an impact. That's important. So please do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about the recording. See, all these things that Tammy does. Oh, this amazes me every time we get online.
Well, the podcast world is a very interesting world. It's brand new, really. It's very embryonic. And all new kinds of things are popping up all the time to try. And I'm always out there going, hey, let's try that. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? Let's see how that works. And you're learning so much with broadcasting now that you're really into it. Is when you become a broadcaster, there is a point at which, if you're lucky, that you do get to talk to people within your own industry. And the people who have been rivals, people you've never really hung out with or talked to, you do get to get their stories like you're getting Doug's this weekend. That is super cool. That is super cool because now you're the radio guy who can actually talk to this magician. Yeah,
and we can talk to each other and do something positive for us both.
Yes.
Rather than feel like it's competition.
It's going to be great. I'm going to try
that
to
really helps me. It helps me. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I brought on you. I've brought on my wife, Tara. I've brought on 2 other musical groups, but this is the first time where I have an arch enemy joining me.
Only on stage. Only on stage.
Only on stage.
Only on stage. Well, in the show notes as well, we have the links. If you're in the Branson, Missouri area, it's KOCM. And you can dial it up on your car radio or house radio or wherever you have a radio. If you're not in the Branson, Missouri area, we've got the link. And I don't care if you're on Mars, you can click that link and listen to the show.
KOMC/player.
We got it all set up. We have got
you got it. That's what I had a person from Greece. We've had people from the Philippines.
Whoa.
We've had people. So it's fascinating all of a sudden. And I know that because of the stream. And the stream is the hardest part of what I do. This whole thing of being on FaceTime at the same time and it being live. It's
I've never done it. I've never done it.
You know what? But it tells me there's people out there and they're going, I'm from this. And then they're listening to me on the web. And so cool. I think it's awesome. So yes, we're getting out there.
Okay. So this is on Saturdays. Give the time again, because this time crazy makes me nuts.
All right. It's 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay.
on my 100.1 KOMC right here in Branson, Missouri.
There you go.
And in fact, when I was brought on board, they did say, Rick, make sure, because you're an international star, that you do not just talk about Branson. The reason we're bringing you in here is because you do something from the outside looking in. So that is, I would appreciate that as well, because everybody else on the radio in Branson has a twang that I just cannot.
That's okay.
I just can't figure out how they're speaking that way. But I'm getting, I'm starting to say y'all and all that kind of stuff, and I'm getting there. But anyway, I'm still that kid from California who doesn't quite fit into the Midwestern scene. It's a pleasure to be on the radio, and I'm now starting to, I don't know if the word important is, but I'm starting to feel comfortable in my skin. You know how you told me this off the air, not even on the podcast, how you have these call letters that are who you are?
Yes, they're hooked to your name.
Because I'm 100.1 KOMC. Yes. And when I'm driving my car and I have the radio station on, I listen to it and I go, wow, I'm part of that.
Yeah, isn't it neat?
That is who I am. Now, wild? It may not affect anybody else like me, but you are telling me without your call letters, you're nothing.
Oh no, because they literally are melded to your name. Okay, it's like, Rick Thomas, KOMC. That now is your name.
That's my name.
Yeah, and it's just weird when you're not on a station, because it's like that part of your name is missing. You go, Tammy Trujillo. There's like this precipice there. And it's just it's creepy. It's creepy.
My first week, I couldn't even say it. I couldn't even get through the entire process of like, I'm from where? I'm and then now at least it's slightly memorized, and it's like I said, it's becoming very comfortable and enjoyable to know that I'm part of it. I still don't get much sleep.
Yeah, it'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll get there. It's becoming much easier. And it is, a lot of people don't really think radio is a big deal. They think, what big deal? You're sitting in front of a mic and you're talking. There's so much more that goes into it. It is such it's a special universe.
I know that there's those that I listen to the radio often, even our station, and I do listen to some of the talk that's on the radio, and some of it's regurgitation of what's just going on out there. Yeah. And mine is the magic of dreams. And I have this mental responsibility to make sure that when I'm sharing my voice on the air, that I've had to think about really what I'm talking about, because it's got to be my stories and how my story ties into your story and how it makes your life better. And I'm doing it all on my own.
Oh, yes.
It's a cruel world out there.
No producer, no nothing.
Yeah.
But, your show prep, as we call it, that is key to a great show. We don't just walk in, throw ourselves in the chair, hit the mic button on and talk. There is a lot of prep.
For me right now, I'm very lucky. I'm only doing 1 day a week. I start, I take off Sunday. I finish Saturday, and then I'm numb for a day.
Yeah,
and then I start on Monday, and I start choosing the music, and something that you don't enjoy.
You just
near
love
as much
rubbing
as I do.
that in, don't you? You really
and
do.
then I send that over to the studio, and Zane puts it in, and then I figure if I can do the first hour on Tuesday, the second hour on Wednesday or Thursday, and the third hour on Friday, I'm okay.
Then it's not a drag.
And that's really that's how I have to do it.
Then it's not a drag. Then it's not labor. It's easy to do. And as you get going, it's just going to become super easy. It really will. But I would say what is this, coming up on the 6th week, if I'm not mistaken?
Fifth week.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't push it.
I'm sorry. I think you're doing marvelously well, but I predicted going in the door that you would nail this, as you've nailed all kinds of other amazing things in your career. So congratulations. And it's working. Yay. Podcast, broadcast, stage. There you go. I like it.
And I'm going to really push the podcast, I think, this Saturday as well. Okay. So I'll get on the air, and I'd like, because we talked about it briefly, but I really need people, if they really want to know what Rick Thomas is all about, it's what you've put together. So thank you again. Kudos to you.
It's my pleasure. Well, we are on chapter 45, and if you are just starting to listen to the podcast, don't think you've kind of lost out on it. All of the episodes. All 44 of the preceding episodes are there and archived. You can binge listen. You can do whatever you want to go through the entire book because they all exist and they're all available. So don't think that you missed the boat because you did not. You didn't. We've got them there. So chapter 45, and again, we have to roll back to, what is the year?
2020, right?
It's 2020, yeah. Yeah, I have to figure out what job I had at the time. We had to roll back to 2020. Amazing, really, when I think about that, it was all of 4+ years ago. It seems like a million years ago. It seems like last week. But, we're picking it up.
Oh, I know.
Doesn't it?
It feels like we're literally still in it.
I know.
And I say that because I do know that there's people that are still dealing with it mentally, physically.
Oh, yeah.
It is not over. It continues. And they keep saying, oh, there's another strain.
There are.
And now people are getting sick in different ways.
Yep.
And I just myself thought, even this last week, wow, I haven't heard much about the pandemic. I guess it's kind of just part of what life's going to be, like the common cold.
It is.
But sure enough, there's still something that is bad out there.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden I
summer
realized,
strain.
no, it's not over. It's just taking a new life.
There's a summer strain out there, and it's actually one of 3 that's floating around. And I got this information coming down from the CDC today.
Tammy in the news.
Yes, basically, the strains are much weaker now, and while they're more transmissible, they're not nearly as vicious. And they're saying if you get COVID, you test positive for COVID, you stay home for a day. And then you wear a mask for 5 days out in public in case you're still shedding the virus, as they say. And then it's like most things when they came in, where we're terrified of them and they are deadly for a time. And then they're not deadly and they are just kind of part of what we deal with. And so, you get your vaccines. But we roll back to 2020 when this chapter is set. And this is the thick of it. This is when it was frankly horrifying.
When I was driving back from Colorado after they closed our shows, got off the bus, got out of the truck, and they said, Rick, we've canceled all your shows for tomorrow night. Turn around and go home. I said, we just drove 3 days to be here. I said, at least let us stay overnight. And then my cast didn't know until we had dinner that night and sat at the table. And I actually was in tears. You can't turn to other people who have been planning for a very long time to be on a tour like this, and then you just know that it's over and it's done.
Right.
I give the example. I think one of the things that was hardest for me when I was watching something collapse in people's lives was when Michael Jackson 9 years ago now passed away. Yeah. And they were doing his final tour, and all those people gave everything that they had for that tour. Producers, directors, dancers. And the movie that they'd made about it, what I saw was all these people that were just basically devastated.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very small group of people. And this time I remind everybody that in some way or form, it was good that everyone went through it, because we all have the same feelings. We all have the same challenges. We all have the same distaste for it. We all went through it. And for that reason, it makes it easier for me to go through it as well, because we're all in this together.
We remember it. We all understand it. That's the thing. We all understand it. We don't have to explain it to each other. I think that's what's so key about the whole thing.
So my biggest frustration, and I shared this with everyone, as we talk tonight about the show, you need to do your very best at also thinking about your life and how it pertains to you and how you move forward and do things and go beyond what you even think that you can do and not stop for anything.
Right.
But I was literally told, coming back from Colorado or driving back, and all I kept hearing from Branson, even the Chamber of Commerce saying, don't close, stay open. This is all going to pass. Don't close.
That's what we thought.
And I said, no, you don't see what I see.
Yeah.
And I say, the whole country's shutting down.
Yeah.
And Branson literally said, well, we're not going to shut down, as probably most everybody wanted to believe or try to do.
Right,
so
exactly.
I don't think that we were far different from others, but they literally said, Disney can close, cruise ships can close, Las Vegas is going to close, but Branson, we're not going to close. Everybody's going to come here. And I go, no, they're not.
No, but it seemed
but no one would listen to me.
It seemed unfathomable that everything would close. You know, I kept on, in those early weeks, I kept thinking, my God, this is like a really bad Hollywood movie. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's so unbelievable. It can be nothing more than a Hollywood movie because it is just unbelievable. How is this really going down? And I was on the news every night talking about it and just not even be able to grasp the stories that I was putting on the air. It's like, how can these numbers and these closures and these rules, how can this all be occurring? It just really felt like a very, very terrible Hollywood script that should not have been made. That's what I kept going through my head. It was hard to grasp it. It really was.
In this scenario, plead with everyone to share your stories. It doesn't have to be about the pandemic. I mean, it could be here and gone.
Right.
But our problem is everybody is important and everyone has a story to tell.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And we all have a story to tell from the pandemic. And I saw businesses and families destroyed during this time frame.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. So you have stories to share. Share those stories with the world. Make sure that they understand who you are, and what you had to deal with as well.
Oh,
and everybody is important. And when you realize that, I just said that everybody was affected by it. I say that was a good thing. It's a strange way to say it, but it was.
It was.
But on the other hand, you lived in, I would say you kind of lived in your own bubble. You had your own home.
Yes.
I am in Branson, Missouri when it happened, when I finally got back to Branson, and we live in our own home. I wanted to know about literally all the people who lived in apartments, together, like in the same buildings. Yeah. How did everybody just get around that scenario? I could hide in my house. I didn't have to go see my neighbors down the block. We have the forest on one side of our house, right? So I was very lucky in that scenario. And yes, you got to count your blessings no matter what they are. And some people, you might have thought it was better off than others. And I would agree. I just couldn't imagine what people were literally going through in these small apartments where you had to cross paths with people. You had nowhere to hide.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we did, if you recall, they had what they called the social bubbles, where you had a tiny group of friends who all knew that they were safe, and they kind of made an agreement that we will go back and forth to each other's homes, but that's it. And so I had my creative partner come over to the studio at my house 5 days a week. And he and I worked on just a ton of projects. We had a couple podcasts going. We had a Saturday night club that was online. And we did an online TV show where people could come on and commune and connect. And, you know, we facilitated that for the entire first summer. We called it the Come Together Club. You know, we were creating. So I was coming down the driveway to the guest house, which is where my studio is, and every day, and working on all these creative projects. And it was, I'm going to say this, and some people might get angry with me, it was a magnificent opportunity full of time.
Yeah. We need to discuss this because this is a massive part of this. I found it was a lot easier to close the show than it was to reopen the show. And I say that because people got their time back. We lived a different life before COVID. And even now, I believe that we don't live the same life we did. Yes, we have struggles again. Yes, we're frustrated. Yes, we're working too hard. It goes on and on and on. But I don't think all of us are working as hard as we did because we find our time to be more precious.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. It was easier to close the show than it was to reopen because I knew that the moment I reopened was the moment that my life was going to be a massive frustration because even though you think that my show is, Rick's, he's got a magic show. How wonderful can it be? Look, my life is 9 to 5. It's a day job just like yours. You get to a point where it's over and over and over. And COVID allowed all of us to have an excuse.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To live our lives. Yes. You know what? One of the greatest things I enjoyed when I was touring the world years ago was when we didn't have cell phones.
Oh, please.
And when we got on the plane, we were forced to do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
It was an awesome time when I was Are you with me on this one?
110%. Are you kidding me?
And you should have been working. Yes, I should have. I could have. We didn't have the computers the way we do now. We didn't have. But it was like that perfect excuse where, well, I guess I can't work. I guess I'm just going to have to find something to do.
Yep, that used to be me in the car because nobody could get me. Nobody could get me. I could be in the car, drive from LA to wherever I was going, traffic in SoCal.
They couldn't call you. Unless they could jump out and get in the payphone, Stop on the side of the road.
Nobody could get me. And now I'm gettable 24/7. And is it exhausting or what? No, the car used to be my respite. Yeah.
And in fact, there's so many companies still who have so many, I wouldn't say too many people, but so many people still working at home.
Oh, they don't want to go back.
They're actually trying to they don't want to go back. We really have changed the mindset, especially of the youth.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any different.
No,
okay.
They don't.
When you had a generation who missed their high school graduation, who missed their prom, their life was very far removed from the life that I remember. On top of it, when everything shut down, they weren't doing anything either. And that's a very big growing time of their life. So how do you teach them that they're supposed to go out there and work, 5 or 6 days a week? Well, as you probably know, as I do now, that's a rebellion. People don't want to work 5 days a week. They want to work 4 days a week. They want to work 3 days a week.
Or 6 hours a day. Or
yeah, 6 hours a day. I'm just preaching to the choir. I'm just saying that when I came back and reopened the show, I found, as you pointed out, great solace in all of this.
It was amazing. The world was quieter and calmer, and and you almost felt guilty for liking that because of the terror and the horror that was going on. Really, I mean, I lost 3 friends,
and that's so hard to. I
did, and I can never negate that. And I've got at least 5 friends who deal with long COVID still, and I can't negate that either. But from a totally different angle, the world was quiet, and there was time to think, there was time to reflect, there was time to create, and we did learn the value of time. And that's why people are kicking and screaming, some of them not wanting to go back to the office, and that rat race, especially out here like in California, where
I know the way that we lived in California. Oh my goodness gracious! Cars, the traffic, right back to what it was.
Yeah. And my gosh, and worse and worse. It was hard going back. Gosh.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Tara's mother is here from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And we were in the car actually this evening, and she drove from Branson to Branson West.
Oh,
and Branson West is basically just another distant part of Branson.
Okay.
But the gentleman who sent her out to Branson West, and her mother does not know Branson, he said to her, it's about 10 minutes away. Well, in reality, Branson's kind of reverse. It's like 30 minutes away.
Oh, my.
So it's kind of funny that he told her, no, it's 10 minutes away. And I'm like, no, more like 30, right?
He doesn't know how to do that time.
Yeah, because there's too many winding roads, right? 10 minutes if you go in a straight line.
Oh, wow.
But in Branson, everything's got massive curves.
Wow. So, okay, I know what I did during pandemic. What did you do during pandemic when you weren't able to put the show on every night at the theater? What did you do to keep yourself busy? Because I've said what I did. What did you do?
Well, the worst thing I did was go online like everybody else and start Zoom.
Oh, gosh, yes.
It was like the moment that we all went back to work was the day I was so grateful I didn't do Zoom events anymore.
I hate Zoom so much.
Yeah. But I went online and and took my show, The Mansion of Dreams, and turned it into a stream and go online.
Right.
And people then from across the world could watch my show online, and I would be there live while the show was playing and kind of tell you the story as it went along, and took a break and then chatted and then continued with the show. But people could actually watch it online on a stream.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people did that as well. It was an attempt, Did we really make any money off of it? No, not really.
No,
I mean, it just, for the time and the effort and trying to nobody knew how long this was going to go. Right? So you put a lot into it, and in one respect, you're hoping that it continues so that you can get something out of it.
That's true.
But on the other hand, all of a sudden, now we're all coming back to work again, and again, nobody wants to be on a Zoom event. You're
no, it was cool until we wore it out, and we did. We did.
And we wore it out. I know.
I didn't really equate that with a Zoom thing. To me,
it wasn't. It wasn't Zoom. It was part of the whole
online
process of people being online and people being in each other's face through the computer screen and
because I was doing all my classes online, and I still do some of my classes online, because we did learn a lot. We learned that we can function doing things from home, that we are capable, competent, and reliable people who will actually perform the things we're supposed to perform at home and not slough off. So there were wonderful things like that were discovered during the pandemic, and working from home has been a blessing for a lot of people who still are doing it. Definitely that.
So congratulations to all those who created a new business, so many strange new businesses came out of the pandemic. Yeah. And I can't even list them. You know that the medical ones are obvious.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But there are probably so many things that people were able to grasp a hold of and do something with in a grand way that had part to do with helping people through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
well, my first podcast was 3.5 months old when the pandemic hit, and I was very much learning how to do podcasting at that time, and the pandemic allowed that podcast to really develop and flourish, had time to experiment with it and grow it. And, we went 106 episodes, and
wow.
It was an award-winning podcast. And, I don't think it would have been as successful without that time. The time to put in and experiment and grow it. So I really think podcasting got a great boost out of it, because podcasting was pretty new still.
Yeah. I would have to say that it was one of the things that came out of the system that was actually, well, now as you and I both can agree, everybody has a microphone now.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's a newscaster.
Oh, I know. All you need is the USB mic and off you go.
That's right. And everybody has something to say.
I still say, if you're going to get a microphone and if you're going to do this, and I encourage people to do it just like you do, it's cool. Everybody should have their opportunity. Learn how to do it right. Just learn how to do it right. Don't just do it, because then it's just going to be mediocre. Learn how to do it right, and then put out a quality podcast.
This next Saturday, I'm going to talk about the Practice Makes Perfect again. I hadn't done it on the air. Of course, you and I had spoken about it. This week, I took our son, Preston, is in tennis classes.
Oh my.
And he's 6 years old. And I know that these little tykes, when you see them out there on a big tennis court, more than anything, they're just swinging at the air. They are bouncing balls around, and it's really not tennis.
No.
But however, my frustration, I wanted to just claw through the fence, because the instructor was just having them bounce a ball and swing their rackets. And the frustration is this instructor was not giving the basics of how they were supposed to stand, how they were supposed to swing. They were just playing around.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not why I have my son out here for tennis. No. Even at that age, you start with and what is the line? It is not practice makes perfect. It is perfect practice makes perfect. Exactly. And I'm not going to give names, but my frustration was massive. I said, you aren't even teaching them how to stand right.
Yeah.
Make them put their feet in the right position. Who cares they're only 6 years old? Start them right. So I say to that person and everybody else listening to the podcast, as you had just put it, you've got to do it right.
Exactly.
Perfect practice makes perfect. Do not go out there and do it all wrong. It's just going to go up in flames.
Exactly.
And do it right.
Yeah. Well, you would know. You played tennis in high school at Jordan High in Long Beach, rival high school to mine. So, yeah, you played tennis, competitive tennis in high school. Did you take it to college?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But in college,
then you know.
In college, believe it or not, in college it kind of morphed into racquetball.
Oh, really?
I played a lot of tennis. I was still on the tennis courts, but at that point in my life, racquetball was a big deal.
It was
in that time frame. So everybody started playing racquetball as well. So I picked that up, and I think that was more of my college sport rather than just being on the tennis court all the time. And it was really bad for me because, just so you know, racquetball and tennis are two different worlds. In tennis, your wrist is to stay straight and strong and rigid. And in racquetball, it's the exact opposite. You flick your wrist to get the power behind the ball. So doing both just doesn't work.
Well, I was bad at both, so I was never athletic. But yeah, we got to give a shout out to Long Beach City College as well.
Yay, Long Beach City College.
That's where you went. That's where I went, and that's where I love saying this because this is to me one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. Is we're both in the Hall of Fame there.
Yes, that grand importance.
It's crazy.
And I didn't even know. You're the one who told me, hey, Rick, did you know you're in the Hall of Fame? I didn't know.
Oh, my God. You beat me by a year. You beat me by a year.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I had no idea.
Oh, my goodness.
I got out of Long Beach City College. I went to Cal State Fullerton, and I went on with my life. It's not that I didn't look back, but I didn't look back.
Oh, my God. Well, next
time
you roll into Long Beach, you have a very beautiful plaque in a very beautiful building. That is right where I used to practice as a cheerleader. They built it right where I used to practice.
You know what? I would agree that I will do that. Yeah. I think that will be my bucket list, right?
Yeah. But yeah, we got to give a shout out to those places in Long Beach that we grew up in, which is really kind of cool. But yeah, tennis, so that instructor better watch himself because you actually know tennis.
I know tennis, and I think the frustration was it just screamed. In the back of my mind, you're not teaching them correctly.
No, and you're paying for this.
You're not, they can get out on yes, they're 6 years old, they're 7 years old, they can play around on the court, but they didn't teach them one proper step in the art of tennis, and I was so frustrated.
Did you speak to him?
So there you go. Nope. I just walked away and told Tara, this is not working.
I think you need to speak to him. I think you need to
massive frustration.
Instruct. Does Preston want to do this? Is this something he's digging?
I think so. Yeah, he's digging it. He likes it.
Well, then you've got to straighten his teacher out.
I will.
Yeah.
Can we go beyond the pandemic and talk about getting life back to norm?
Sure.
After it all occurred. I want to just tell this to you because in all of this, I am also extremely proud of what we actually did in Branson. I know you're on the other side of the country, but Branson literally was the first entertainment capital, if you want to put it that way.
It is.
That had shows that opened before the rest of the world.
Really?
No Disneyland, no Disney World, no cruise ships, no riverboats, no cabarets, no casinos, no Las Vegas, no Broadway, nothing. And Branson stepped forward a couple months before everybody else, and we opened our shows. Whoa. It was an absolute disaster. I mean, we had to put people 4 rows between. I had a 2,000 seat theater, so it was okay, but you could fit like 100 people in there by the time you spread people out and put them distant from each other. And we had, and we literally went through the beginning of what everybody else had to go through. I sent a press release out to all the news across the country. I sent it over the wire and I said, Branson is open. I went to the chamber and I said, we need to let everybody know across the country and around the world, Branson is open.
No kidding.
I sent it out. I got not a single response.
Really?
Nothing. Vegas opens 2 or 3 months later and the news everywhere.
Yes.
Entertainment is open again. Entertainment is back. And I'm like, that's fine. And it's not that it was like stealing my thunder. It's just that I thought that for the area that we're in and the shows that we opened and what we attempted to try to do and the mistakes and challenges we faced in doing so with a government telling us what we could and could not do, right? Was a tough deal. And I'm out there screaming and yelling, going, this is harder than you think. And then everybody did go through it. But I think I take that pride in a good way that we were willing to not just sit there and wait, but press forward and do everything we could in spite of everything that's going on around us. And press forward. And like I said, it was easier to close the show than it was to open the show.
That is so strange. But it makes sense.
It was so hard.
I'm thinking back to just when things started getting back to the new normal, because it's not normal. It was kind of like the new normal. It was difficult. It was very, very difficult because things were different, quite different, and still rather scary too.
Yeah, I still don't feel right. It's still kind of. I don't even know what the word is. Just strange.
Well, we talked about it. There's a movie out right now that I really, 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 really want to see. I want to see it. And I asked Randy the other night, I said, do you want to see this movie? And he said, I do want to see this movie. It's called The Quiet Place. And we want to see it because it's really interesting. And there's a cat that's a hero in it. So, of course, I want to see it. And I said, what do you think? He said, I'm not ready to go back to a movie theater. We haven't been to a movie theater. He's just like, not going to happen.
The movie theaters are still struggling. They cannot figure out how to get the public back to movie theaters. I know that, and that's another thing that happened is everything went to stream.
Yeah.
And like my magic show, so did every movie, so did every television show. That's where the online streaming blew up and became massively, even more successful than the COVID made these streaming companies massively rich.
Totally.
Okay. So, and I literally today was listening to the news and they were saying on the news how challenging and struggling it is for movie theaters. They are not coming back. They're trying. You see it in the commercials. It'll say only in theaters.
Right.
Only in theaters.
Right.
It's not working.
No, it's not.
Working.
Chains have actually closed. And there's something so cool about an audience. An audience is kind of magical in its own way as you're reacting with each other and to each other.
That's why live theater is spectacular.
Yes, indeed.
Because we're all laughing together and we're all screaming together and we're all telling them, don't open the door. Don't go that way.
Right?
Go that way. We're all experiencing this in mass.
Yeah. So, Randy said, just wait until, the screeners come out for the SAG Awards because we get those. Just wait for the screeners.
Yes, of course.
But it's just watching it in the house on the big screen. It's like I can watch anything on the big screen. There's nothing special about it. It's not an event. I was kind of amazed at his reaction and my own of the concept of going to a theater, and it kind of was like, no. And it's like, wow, really? When is that reaction going to change?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, very weird.
Because it's a decision that was made. You would have gone to the theater without the pandemic.
Went all the time.
The life would have continued on. Of course you would be going to the theater.
Went all the
now
time.
We're not going.
Yeah, now it's a thing. Now it's a big decision. We're never going to be exactly the same.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
we were also out at dinner even this evening, and news is it Kroger and Albertsons?
Oh gosh, yes.
Kroger.
Yes.
They are joining. Yes. They're joining forces and becoming one company, and they're closing like 600 stores. I do listen to the news.
There
I have to. I'm part of the industry now.
Yes, you are. I'm losing my Albertsons down the block. I'm going to have to go 2 miles now to the grocery. Yes.
Because you know how many people are now having their food delivered to their house?
I know. I can't do that.
Right?
I can't do that. That's weird.
But half the people at our table were thrilled that that's what they get to do now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you know how often I go to the store, and you might think this frivolous, but sometimes I enjoy going to the store because I'm usually going to get things that I don't usually always get.
Okay.
But if you just order and have it delivered to your home, you don't go outside your comfort zone
Nope.
very much. You
Nope.
just kind of order the same
Yep.
thing. But if you're walking around a grocery store, you may pick up that one thing that changes your life for at least a week.
Yeah, what is this thing? Oh, cool, I got to try it.
Oh, cool, I got to try this.
It's the discovery process, but you can't discover online because you can't sit there and go page after page after page after page looking at stuff.
We also chatted to Tara's mother, who's here in town from Australia, and we just were in Australia, and the mall system, stores, brick and mortar, are still a big deal in Australia.
Wow.
They've got the Amazons out there, but it's not like it is here in the States. It's much more expensive, much more difficult to get things shipped over to Australia. So they have these stores and these malls open.
Yeah.
We have an industry that has shut down the mall system.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Completely. And so it is changing. And we have to admit that there's just a new way. Could you also say that was part of what COVID did as well? Everybody went online and started. So look at the things that changed because of this.
Yeah, but it changed us socialized. Here's what scares me, Rick. It changed us getting together. We're doing everything isolated.
I know.
Yeah, because the mall, oh my gosh, you and I grew up with the Lakewood Mall. And
the Lakewood
Cerritos Mall.
And all we love to do is just go there and just sit there in the middle of the mall and watch people.
Hang out, get some food, do some shopping, go to the theater. You could make a day of it. The mall was an event.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoyed more so getting gifts for people in that way.
Oh, yeah.
For the holidays, just being out there with the lights and the crisp air and all that is like
gone.
Gone.
It's gone. It's not the same. I did go to a mall about 6 weeks ago for the first time in a couple of years. God, that sounds so crazy. And I felt weird. It was strange. I'm in this mall. Oh my God, this is so weird. And a lot of the stores were closed. They're no longer there. It was so strange to go to something and have it feel weird, something that I have gone to since I was a little girl as part of my growing up. And now I'm at this mall and it feels very foreign to me. It was really weird. I kind of dug it. I kind of dug it, but then I wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
I was ready to leave.
And you have a generation who never experienced it. So
I know.
That's,
I just don't want us to get so isolated that we do every single thing online and we don't go out and socialize and hang together and go see shows together. I want that to get back.
There's one thing, and I'm going to throw this out there, that I get to talk about on Saturday as well.
Okay.
Monday was game day. And I think the year is running out of days. We have Father's Day, we have Mother's Day, we have Christmas, we have game day, computer game day.
National Computer Game Day.
National Computer. And I thought to myself, wow, they're going to talk about games. And they did. And they talked about how amazing, first of all, it's larger than the movie industry.
Right, it is.
We're not talking billions of dollars. We're talking multi-billions of dollars in the gaming industry. And how many people who are socially doing better because we're online with each other, playing games together across the world with other people and communicating, even though it's online. At least we are talking to others, we are interacting with others, and it's still a force that is making people much more able to be in a community format than watching television all by yourself at night on a streaming network.
It's better.
Yeah. So games, and they can complain that say, yeah, but games waste a lot of your life. And I can say, well, if you play like an hour or two a day and it not go ballistic, and because I can tell you this, the worst thing it can do is ruin your life with what you should be doing, because you can get so into it that the rest of your life just goes to crap. But you know what? The greatest thing, I'm sitting here at the computer and I'm working my tail off, and my little son Preston walks up to my side and says, "Dad, will you go play some computer games with me?" Now, yes, we're going to go play computer games, but I have a 6-year-old son who Dad now gets to stop what he's doing.
Yeah.
And together, it may not be bowling, it may not be playing tennis, whatever. But that very moment, it was the greatest thing to hear him say, "Hey, Dad, let's go play something together."
And he can do it too.
And that was an opportunity for us to do that and bond.
Yeah.
So So there is some great things that are going on with the gaming industry in that way. And I get the chance to just kind of share the positive side of it and what it does to help people be better.
Out of it, if you look at any terrible, tragic time during history, wars and so forth, there are things that come out of them that are extraordinarily wonderful and positive and advance society and make things better. It's always the way it is. You just kind of have to look for it sometimes because maybe you haven't seen it's there, but it's there.
I know. And you know what makes things better? Even my mansion of dreams. And I don't try to segue into this, but we really are talking about trying to get our lives back together again and get up and running and give ourselves a little kick in the butt and move forward and try to work again. So I just remind you that when I created the Mansion of Dreams, it was all about following your dreams and making it happen no matter what's thrown in your face. I designed the Mansion of Dreams for it to collapse. I designed it around my life that halfway through the show, the entire mansion is destroyed. And this was before COVID, right? Wow. And my idea was destroy your dreams, crush them, because my life is your life. And we all have the same challenges and problems at some point in our life. And we got to pick up the pieces and put it back together. So I designed a show that causes people to think about how challenging life is and the dreams that have been crushed and how you got to pick yourself up and put those pieces back together again and even be better than it was before.
That's key.
And that was the Mansion of Dreams. So it kind of goes.
No, it's absolute key. One of the keys to success is when you get knocked down, pick yourself back up. You got to get that talent to be able to pick yourself back up and put it back together. And yes, put it back together better. Yeah. I totally
in a different way. It's not going to be the same mansion.
Never.
It's not going to look the same.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's all gone. Well, one of the things that's important if you want to follow your dreams is to have the money in which to do it. We all have to talk about money.
What money?
What money? Yeah.
I'm in the broadcast industry now. I know.
Hey, wait a minute. Not that bad. But
no, it's not.
It's, we are in an economic situation right now. It's not going to change for the positive for a bit more time from the stories I've had on the air. We're going to have a little tough time pulling out of this. But you do have a plan. You've been working on something for a couple of years, and that is the purchase of gold and silver, kind of as insurance policies.
Yep. Listen to me. And the good part about it is you don't have to just listen to me. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people telling you to do the same thing. You're just not listening. And what it is take a little bit of what you have and put it into something that is of worth. If you don't hold it, you don't own it.
Tangible.
And it's got to be tangible. And I know it's hard to wrap your head around it in these modern times because people only talked about having gold and silver during the times of chivalry and knights and princesses and kings and queens. Today, the people who have the most gold are the wealthy, countries, and the banks. And I repeat it again, the banks. And if you go to the bank with a brick of gold and ask them to deposit it, they will tell you they don't know what to do with it, but they are not quite telling you the truth. They know exactly what to do with it. They just don't want to tell you.
They're not going to share.
They're not going to share. So I'm just saying that you are living in a place that allows you to have precious metals, allows you to have gold. Did you know there was a time when we weren't allowed to have gold?
No, I didn't. I did not. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the government didn't want us to have gold. They didn't want the people to have that power.
Wow.
So take it while you still got it. And that is buy gold and silver. Just to kind of protect what you have because it's like that insurance policy. And yes, you can go online and yes, I will reach out to you at any given moment and say, hey, what can I do to answer your questions regarding gold and silver? I'll do my very best to do so. But my goodness gracious, things are getting busy. Can I tell you? I'm trying so hard to answer all the calls, but yes.
Well, Rick will call you back and it's easy to get on the list. You go to mansionofdreams.net/wealth. Quick form, you fill it out, and you will be on the list and Rick will be going down. He's working his way to you. He is.
I am.
He's working
I'm
his
working
way
my way
down the list.
I'm working my way.
And he will explain it to you, and maybe it's just exactly the thing you've been looking for.
Tammy, thank you so much. I appreciate this. I know your schedule is just, I'm using the word thrashing you.
Thank you.
She is stepping in and doing this podcast when she has so much more in life to do. And I'm extremely grateful to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate anybody who respects my schedule. But let me say, this is one of the fun things of my week. I enjoy this thoroughly, talking with you, going through the book with you. I love it when we get our emails and we know that we're connecting with people, because people need some positives right now. They need some encouragement right now. And if I can be a part of making that happen, well, that makes me real happy. So this is not like, oh gosh, no, we got to do the podcast. It's like, yeah, we get to do the podcast. So
we get to do the podcast.
I'm thrilled.
Even this very day, I put the headphones on, leaned into the microphone.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
It's fun. It's a total lot of fun. So
absolutely. Thank you again. Thank you to those listening. And we shall continue on. Follow your dreams, make it a reality, and don't take no from anybody. Just keep pressing forward and do the best you can at enjoying the journey that we're all part of.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.